How do people put up with living a life that they didn't plan out, that they didn't wish for as a kid? And when they grow up, live that meaningless life of endless suffering? Do they live every day with the regret, or does it fade away after a while? This was a question I asked myself when I used to write journal when I was 17, 18 or something. I stopped journaling. It took me a couple of months, probably 6, 7 months, I don't remember exactly. I remember going back to that exact entry and writing it down. They do live with the regret every day until eventually the pain becomes normal, that they get used to it, that they accept that as their reality, and eventually that the threshold for pain increases or decreases. I don't know what I should call it, but that pain becomes the normal, and they believe what they never thought that they would. They believe that their dreams were just dreams and they should just let it go. I was probably 18 back then. I'm 21 now. It's been 3 or 4 years. Now that I look back, that 18-year-old was trying to tell me something. And 4 years later, I'm starting to see myself following the patterns of those people, of living a life that I was not wishing for. And slowly, but surely, I started noticing that I was finding ways to tell myself that it's okay, you know, you're just a person, you're just somebody's son. I'm pretty sure I was destined for more, and the fact that I still believe that, despite slipping out for a while, tells me that I won't be one of those people who's gonna live through the suffering, eventually numbing myself to a point where I don't feel that pain anymore. I don't want to live that life. That's why I decided to take action to give myself a better life, to do the things that I want to do, rather than what others or anyone for that matter want me to do. Because honestly, it wouldn't matter. The people who you want to please will not regret for the things that you didn't do. Only you will at the end of the day. That is something that I tell myself because I've reached a point in my life where the people that I thought I should accomplish things for start to stand in my way and stopped caring about actually what I want to do in my life. And the thing with this problem is that the people who care about you want to keep you safe. But you, yourself, you want to do the things that you want to do so that you can help them as well. So you succeeding will help them. But the way they push their fear onto you is doing negative for you and them. Because it keeps you from succeeding. And without you succeeding, you will suffer and they will also miss out on the things that you would have brought onto the table. 7 months ago, I was struggling at college mentally and I was isolating myself and I was unable to do the things that I wanted to do. I left the college, I came back home and I trained for a week, more than a week, 10, 11 days or something. And through those days, I was able to come up with this, which is talking to the camera and uploading it on YouTube. And over the months, I was able to see that people like you were watching this, was able to find inspiration, was able to find clarity through these videos. That's why I decided to keep making them. I probably have like 50 videos on the channel. Some of them, to be honest with you, I got obsessed with the YouTube game and then I lose my path. Then I start making videos which would get me more views or get the retention or get the reach. And that kind of defeated the purpose of these videos in the first place. Because this was supposed to be a medium of expression, telling you how I feel and how I process those things so that you can learn from me and help yourself process those things better. The thing about any realm for someone like me who's been good at things, who's been obsessive over things, is that you try to get the results by being smart. But some things are peculiar in a way that the point of it is not to be good at it. You won't enjoy doing it if you just want the results. And that's what I feel about YouTube because I've told you before I've worked as a YouTube editor, I worked as a strategist, project manager. I'll tell YouTube channels, okay, don't make these videos, make these instead so that you can grow your channel faster. And I remember telling you that I quit that even though it was making me money because there was something about it that taking advantage of people's psychology to put money into my pockets didn't feel like the right thing to do. So that's what led me to this, to real authentic connection. When I turn on the camera and I start speaking, I'm not speaking to the phone. I can see myself, I can see a reflection of myself, and I assume it to be a version of me from the past. And I can see some faces, imaginary faces of you guys out there listening to this message and thinking the thoughts that needs to be thought. I just remember that the video was about living a life of suffering. That's what exactly I was doing. The chasing of something you don't actually want is pure suffering. When I started this, I wanted a form of connection, of an expression, but eventually, after I kept uploading, my goal changed subconsciously to align with the algorithm with numbers. And I kept telling myself that this is how you go forward. But I was fooling myself. And I kept telling you guys that on this channel we don't focus about numbers, but that is exactly what I was doing. If you there is a video that I made which says how to make a cult. You should see that thumbnail. That is something I would make for a client for like probably $25 or something. That's a proper thumbnail. I spent like 3 hours or something on that. But that's not what I'm supposed to be doing on this channel. This is what I was supposed to be doing. Maybe losing your path is a means for you to understand the value, the meaning of the journey that you are in, so that you can tell yourself that you're on the wrong path and steer yourself back. And that reuniting with your planned out beautiful goals, that reuniting gives you a feeling of comfort. Maybe that's why we were supposed to steer off course. Maybe it's just supposed to provide contrast. I remember 1 month ago, I spent a lot of learning, a lot of back and forth scripting, structuring, and everything for a video. I went to a location, a really good park. I recorded every take, and like I took multiple takes of different segments and everything. And I came back, and that video took 2 weeks for me to even, get it into a structure. That's when I asked myself the question, is this what I want to do? It was so Is it overwhelming or underwhelming? I don't remember. I always confuse one with the other. Basically, it was heavy that I spent so much effort into this video. It doesn't even feel like me. It feels fake. It feels like it doesn't belong to me. And I held on to it. I remember telling you about the sunk cost fallacy. Sunk cost fallacy. What it is I've put effort into it, right? So now I have this thing where I don't want to let it go because I've put effort into it and I don't want to waste it. That's the sunk cost, the effort I put into it leading to wastage, and I don't want it, right? So you hold on to it, and but you know it's bad, so you don't make progress in it. So this keeps happening, and kept that video in the back of my mind and in the back of my folders. And I did work on other videos through that time. I probably uploaded 5-6 videos, and this video still bothered me because there is a video lying there which I spent a lot of time on composition of shots. I'm telling you, I was going around the park. It's probably 1 p.m. Yeah, 1 p.m. There was sun out. There was no one in the park. That's why I went in the afternoon. Sorry. That's why I went in the afternoon, because there would be no one there, so that I can shoot wherever I want. So I would go to locations, I would find the right shots, I would make good videos. So there's so much effort I put into it, so I didn't want to get rid of it. But then I remembered something that I tell my friends all the time. You know, when you're in college and like guys go behind girls and everything, and they go behind the girls that really don't give them much attention or care or anything, just, but guys have this thing of clinging on and hoping that eventually something will change. And I tell them, do it right away. Just if you know that you need to leave that person, that's not gonna work, block them, delete the contact, or whatever. So I had to get rid of this thing, right? So I just went ahead and deleted the folder of that shot. That's like 37 GB of 4K footage. And I just did it. And I felt kind of bad about it at that time. I realized that I don't need to obsess on those videos, because each video I can make, it was made by me, right? I can click record and talk to you. That's what matters. That's what matters. Me talking to the camera, you listening, is what matters. The composition, the size, the quality, none of that really doesn't matter, because probably you are probably 10 minutes into this video. If you're still watching, you're one of the very few, because I get like 1 minute of average retention. That means 90% of the people leave very early in the video because they don't want to have a connection. They don't want someone to talk to them. They just want neurons to fire and dopamine to be released. But you're looking for something more than that. And we are kind of the same. Because once I found these kind of videos online, I realized how trash the other things were. And eventually, I quit editing because I was also making those hyper edited, stimulating videos. I was even editing for my sister's crafts channel, and I exploded that channel, and she got paid pretty good. And I quit that too because I told her, like, I can't do this anymore. I can't live that life anymore because I made another video. Most people live other people's dreams. Okay, an editing job is pretty awesome. Someone looking from outside, because you get to do what you love. But no, you should see how the clients talk to editors and what kind of changes they need and everything. That's not what pushed me off. The feeling that whoever watches the videos that I edit are tricked into watching till the end instead of getting value and sticking for the connection. That thought went back and forth till eventually I decided to quit. People do spend most of their lives living a life of suffering that they didn't plan for. And eventually they get numb to that pain, and they forget all of that, all of those dreams and whatever they had. And they get reignited when someone asks them about, hey, do you remember those days when you wanted to do a football freestyling channel? I met some of my friends from middle school like 3 weeks ago. We went to like a waterfall. It was fun. And then I remember we had this plan back in seventh grade that we would make a YouTube channel of S3 freestylers. So it's three of us. Our name started with S. That's how the name came from. And then I remember that we actually thought it for real. And I'm saying when people asked, oh, do you remember when we had that plan or when you had that goal? And they look back and then they remember for a few seconds and the pain is evident and you might even be able to see it on their face. But the way if it, sorry, they wipe it off and they laugh it off and tell you, yeah, those days, you know how silly me. That's what they tell them. That's what they tell themselves, pressing that pain deep inside. This is my reply to that journal entry by my 17-year-old. Do people live their whole lives living someone else's life, living a life of suffering that they didn't plan, of something they didn't wish for? Do they live with regret every day? Or does it go away? I'll see you. Have a good one. Make sure you think about things that needs to be thought of. Don't get lost in the social media world. I think you'll see me post often. That's about it. Peace.